Dillingham.
Hey, everybody. Good morning and welcome to the 47th episode of The Insiders on Real Estate and Marketing. I am your host, Sandy Hibbard, and sitting next to me with our getting ready for our fireside chat is my co-host and our sponsor, Mr. Mark Miller.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh, I know. Ho, ho. Can you believe it's here?
No.
I mean, my brain isn't even ready for it.
I was walking in the building, they were playing Christmas music, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of like going, just seemed like yesterday we were walking in and I was sweating because it was 130,000 degrees outside.
I know. And here we
we
are.
are.
It's Christmas weekend.
Yeah.
Because everybody starts the festivities. I mean, I
Right.
don't think anybody's been working all
No.
week. Everybody's been worried about shopping and what you're going to eat and trying to find all those toys and
Parking lot
everything.
is empty
Yeah.
in my building. So
It is, I know.
and it was easy. I mean, I think it took me 20 minutes to drive to work today, which normally is about a 45-minute drive.
Everybody's off today.
Yeah, everybody's.
I've got a cruise of people coming in. We've got going to have a house full tomorrow, and then Sunday, Christmas Eve, we got a big house full, and then we pack up and go see Mom on Monday.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, or no, Monday's Christmas, Tuesday. So it's
Tuesday.
just like back to back
Yeah.
to back. Anyway, I'm sure that it's the same with you. And I just want to, first of all, thank you for joining us this morning. And you're going to get to sit in on a review, the Insiders on Review for 2023. And Mark and I are going to chit-chat about our guests, our no-shows, our screw-ups, all the fun things and some behind-the-scenes kind of fun. It's been a great year, and Mark and I were just talking about how we've had some really super guests. I mean, we bumped up the year in last January with Candace Evans. We had Zaby and Dillingham come on the show and give us their wisdom.
Yep.
We've had, last month, we had Lago, Amberly Lago, who came and gave us an inspirational talk to get us motivated for the next year. I mean, we have had some really great episodes. And I want to take just a second to say this morning that we want to bring in the experts, bring in the resources that you're interested in. So if anyone out there has any recommendations that you would like to throw our way, any ideas for shows, we are open to that and welcome to that. So just DM us here on the Facebook channel or on Instagram, Mark or I1, and let us know what your thoughts are, because we'd love to see what you guys want us to be bringing to you, because the Insiders is about bringing you the inside tips, resources, and look into the industry of real estate and the tactics and the way we need to be marketing our businesses in this business climate. So, Mark, it's been a crazy year.
It has been.
I mean, I don't know how the real estate market's done, but I know we're still standing.
We are.
Can you talk about that for a second?
Yeah. Certainly, transactionally, we've gotten a nice little softening in the interest rates, and you can almost immediately see it because I've started seeing an uplift in contracts, which is unusual for December. But I think it's that, buyers sitting on the sidelines, and suddenly now where we were sitting close to 8%, now you're down maybe
It went down just a little bit.
Well, it went down a little bit more than that. It's probably at a 6.5 to up to 7, depending on what you choose in terms of your amortization. But that's stimulating, and we're seeing the positive signs of the inflation tracking, et cetera, that I think is going to result in us having rate decreases probably in the first quarter. So that should bring some optimism. Because
It'd be great to start the year off with that.
I mean, it'll go back to the same thing because inventory has been rising because sales have not been occurring at the same level. So when that happens, inventory will start to adjust downward because people start to buy. But so that's kind of a partial of the story. The other thing that is deeply concerning to me, and we talked about this in the last show, at that time, Fidelity had just been hit with a cyber attack. And nationwide they had to take their system down nationwide, and that was going into Thanksgiving and through Thanksgiving.
That's right, I remember
last
that.
month. Just Tuesday, First American just got hit.
They're one of the big ones.
And they're the second largest behind Fidelity. So between those two companies, Fidelity has about 31% of the national market, and First American probably has somewhere around 20. So it's almost 50% of the market. side. So when that happens, you can just figure like, 2 out of every 10 closings that are happening out there nationwide are in those shops. And so now they're in the same situation. First American
What
is
a tragedy,
down.
man.
And if you're in escrow right now and you had a scheduled closing between now and the end of the month, you should be concerned because the escrow officers can't access their systems. They can't close. You're dealing with rate lock issues. You're dealing with contracts.
Do they get to the money when they do that?
Well, they can get to the money, but typically they're getting to data. They're getting to something that's a private side that is valuable.
That's what's worth the money. Is
That's
the
the
data.
money. So this is going to be another ransomware play. But if you're out there and you're closing with the First American Direct or you're closing with the Republic Title, the two to come to mind, then you're probably in a stall right now. And hopefully this is not good. So I don't say that with any chuckling underneath my breath. I mean, it's really bad for the industry.
But it kind of underscores the fact that independence and...
Well, it's kind of interesting because what it really says to me is that there's primarily 4 publicly traded companies out there, the large ones in the underwriting space.
Right.
So Fidelity's been hit. Now First American's been hit, publicly traded. The other one out there is Stewart, is publicly traded. Old Republic is privately held. But what it tells me is this group, I'll be interested to see if it's the same group, which was a Russian cyber group that attacked Fidelity. If it's the same one, that tells me they're focused on the larger national platform because it'd be more impactful and they can get more money in a ransom scenario than if they went and hit an independent.
Right, of course.
They're going after the bigger fish. Now they've already hit Mr. Cooper. That was the second largest mortgage servicer. That was 2 months ago. So they're very much targeted, and they're very specific in hitting in the last 10 days of a month to make sure that they're getting the most lift in volume of closings and therefore interruption and therefore anxieties, and the companies are going to move quickly to try to mitigate because they got to get back up and get operational.
Real quick, how does this affect a realtor? Is there any warning you can give realtors in regard to this kind of thing? Is this going to affect their business? Could this be bad for them?
No, I think the only thing it has an effect, if you were in escrow with one of those companies and this happens to that company,
it's going to screw up your closing.
You can't close.
Right.
What I think they just need to be wary of is just more about, we're going to move more and more to an encrypted type of transactional environment.
I'm surprised we have not already done that.
Well, we have it in limited ways, but what happens is that you get everybody complaining when suddenly they've got to log into something, the security side, because we're wanting to churn and burn and move. But we're going to move to a place where we're going to have encrypted type communication is going to become more significant than probably it ever has been before, because this is changing the deck out there in terms of these kind of companies getting hit, which are the biggest in the industry, which I would have, and I know this for a fact because I heard it from one specialist, and I would say the same thing about First American. They probably are one of the more highly secured environments out there. So think about that, and think about that they got hit. That tells you the sophistication that's out there and their ability, these hackers, to get into these spaces and be very impactful. And their goal is to get money for what they managed to hack in and grab in data side, which is all highly secured information. It could be social security numbers, anything on the financial side that they've got there. So it's really a substantial problem.
It kind of makes you wonder if we were better off before technology.
Exactly.
When it comes to that stuff, doesn't it?
So anyhow, but we've still been, fourth quarter is a compressed environment, even though I'm seeing a lift that I know that there are numerous title companies that are in stress. There'll be a name brand that I think will possibly not make it through the end of this year, if not within the first 2 weeks of the new year.
Title.
Yes, and they're going to have to shut down. And failure of execution, overexpansion, whatever it may be. If you are not diversified with different types of residential business and only purchase side, with the purchase market probably statewide being down 40%, you can't survive unless you've got capital. Thankfully, we do. And we're in an NDA, and I'm trying to work on buying a company in East Texas I think will be a nice little fit for us where we've expanded with 2 branches in our fee attorney network. I anticipate picking up some more of that. So we're focused on a growth strategy to that side, thankfully, because we have the capital and we're well positioned.
Keep your systems secure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Folks,
it scares everybody.
This is why he is the president of Secure Title of Texas, who is, by the way, our sponsor of the Insiders.
Yeah. So all that being said,
Wow.
I am actually optimistic of 2024. I think there's some things, and we'll move into an election year. That usually has a positive impact.
Oh my gosh!
And that's
Get ready for the circus. It's going to be a circus.
It's going to be absolutely crazy.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Yeah. So anyhow, all that being said, it has been a great year, and we've had some really interesting guests, and
we've had a lot of fun, haven't we?
Yeah.
It's been great.
And we try to touch on what I think are the things that people would be interested in and could be educated from. And I love to get veterans in here like a Dick Dillingham and a Mike Brody and Jim Fite. These guys have been around a long time. They've seen a lot. And
well, I think that's what just makes these shows. And, Dick Dillingham, you remember the story on this show. What episode was that? That was the 6-month checkup.
Yep.
It was in the middle of the summer, middle of the heat, and Mark and I were scrambling about what the show was going to be about, and the guests that we had fell through, and so we're like last minute, and he picks up the phone and calls his friend Dick Dillingham, and Dick says, I can come by.
Well, in fact, I think he was. I'm trying to remember. I think they were in a Tom Ferry training in Dallas.
Yeah, because he shows up.
Because he shows
with
up
2 more people.
Yeah, with Zaby. Zaby's one of the
Pat Zaby,
man, forever. I've
and a
seen
fellow
Pat.
from Kentucky,
Mike Parker, who was with Huff Realty out of Kentucky. And man,
they were at the
Tom Ferry
thing. So we just hit the jackpot because
just
these guys have been sitting under the guru, and they're like just stuffed full of information.
Right.
And so Mark and I wanted to do a 6-month checkup. So they came in, we did a little impromptu panel and got tons of tips and resources and inspiration for the next half of the year. So much so that I wrote a blog post on that called The 6-Month Guide for Marketing. So you can go to my blog and look up that. It was probably sometime in June, but the name of it is The 6-Month Marketing Guide.
And in addition to that, I mean, we've got these different sessions in our on Facebook in our Insider page.
Yep.
I've got them on all the podcasts on my website.
That's right. It's on securedtitle.com.
So if any of these
Title of Texas,
tick you a little bit to say, hey, I didn't remember that session or whatever, you can go find it.
Yeah.
And it's a nice little 20-minute update on whatever we had as topics.
Yeah, it was. That was a fun show, and everybody loves Dick Dillingham.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like he's my buddy, and I've only spent maybe 3 hours of my life with this man, but he is a super, super guy. And so we love having guys like that on.
Right.
And then one of my favorites this year was Jim Fite, because I love Jim Fite.
Well, and you were associated with Jim.
I was associated with Jim. Actually, my company, Sandy Hubbard Creative, was his in-house marketing company back in 2008 to 2012, I think. And I did all of their marketing for Judge Fite Realtors. So Jim and I became very close, and he has since kind of pulled back from the day-to-day operations of the company. His son, Eric Fite, is doing that now. So Jim's traveling, and he wrote a book.
Yep.
And he tells a story in this episode. And what episode is that? It was in... look at my notes. I'm cheating here. It was in August. So the August episode, Success Through a Recession. And nobody knows that story better than Jim, because when I got hired to work with Judge Fite Realtors, it was in 2008. Thank you. You're the one who made that referral for me. And we came in, and the market had tanked, and the headlines and the marketing frenzy that was going on about the real estate market was so negative, and agents were just shutting their doors, and consumers were like, nope, we're not going to sell. Nope, no, we're not buying. And so Jim Fite, in his infinite wisdom, and Jan Fite, his sister, who also is owner of the Judge Fite Realtors, they put together this idea to put out a positive message. Let's don't let's don't listen to the negative. And there are some 600 agents who were relying on the marketing that we were providing them. And we had a meeting of the managers, and we came up with Real Estate 411.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking 411.
It was a great campaign.
Yeah, the old information.
The old
used to dial
information
for
number.
Information.
That's right.
Right.
And Real Estate is Great was kind of like the headline in Real Estate 411. And I created monthly content that we would disseminate to all of the agents for them to be able to actually customize and use. And every month, the management team got together under Jim's leadership to talk about what themes we needed to address. And so that Real Estate 411 is a library of amazing positive information about the real estate industry. And that turned around Judge Fite. Now, of course, I can say that the marketing was very influential, but Jim and Jan and their management abilities got that company successfully through the recession. That's what the book is about. Not that particular story,
right, but it was kind of the fundamentals of how to get through it.
Exactly.
And you guys developed something, and he implemented a strategy.
Yeah.
And
Smart
executed
man.
on it.
I mean, they're so smart, just down to earth about how to handle.
I don't know if you recall this too when we were talking, because I had it on my questions and I asked him that. I said, certainly with the environment that we're in, this should be a time for acquisitions. And he kind of smiled at me and said, yes. Well, since that, he's bought and merged into Waco with a Century 21 there, and he just moved into Granbury.
Oh, that's your second home area.
Yeah, so
that's his golf course.
That's my course. But so now he's acquired two. Since we met with him, they've bought two more operations. So he's continuing to strategically expand to that side, and probably perfect timing. It's almost like us looking at the title insurance industry. It's a good timing because people are. I'm either time for me to go to an exit strategy, or I have capital infusion that's necessary for me to continue.
That kind of strategy is remarkable in how it has helped Judge Fite Company grow. You know, they started out just a little real estate company in Oak Cliff way, way back in the day, like 75 years ago, I think.
Yep.
And I think their first acquisition, when Jim and Jan got onto the management team of Judge Fite Realtors, they're like, we need to grow. Let's buy some offices. And they bought Arlington and Grand Prairie, and that put them on the map. And then they just started taking over, and they've got offices all over.
Yeah.
So super strategic man, Jim Fite. He brought a lot of information to
well,
that
and
show.
he's plugged into the different lanes of real estate as well. So not just selling, but I mean, they're in the title business, they're in the mortgage business, they're in the insurance business. I think they're in the property management side as well. Pretty big time.
They're in all of it. They got their hands in all of it.
And so to me, he was kind of the pioneer. And now, as you look at what other brokerage companies are doing, it's almost like they're following his roadmap of what he did. And you're seeing other companies getting into these respective lanes as well. So, which is another shift to the market out there.
Yeah, they're very strategic and definitely somebody to pay attention to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another great person that we had on the show that's another leader to pay attention to was Ben Baker.
Yeah.
We brought him on in February, Black History Month,
Yep.
and Ben and I go way back. You guys go way back. You know how I met Ben was when prime lending was, this is way back before the laws restricting how a company could work. Is it called RESPA?
RESPA.
Yeah. And so everybody was vying to do realtors marketing because you could do that. You could do the marketing for realtors. So your company, if you were a mortgage company, if you were a title company, you would bring in the big gun marketing person to do all this marketing, and they gave it to the realtors. So in that atmosphere, Prime Lending reached out to me and said, we want to have some kind of a marketing thing. So I came up with the idea of a marketing roundtable, and we would have monthly meetings hosted at Prime Lending, and I just started, marketing to realtors to come. And Ben Baker was one of the first participants in that program, and it lasted for about 2 years. And we met on a monthly basis, and it was very unique in that it was realtors from all over all the brokerages. So it wasn't just a Keller Williams brainstorm session. It was Keller, Williams Davis. It was the Independents. It was Ebby. It was
It was like a mastermind.
It was a mastermind marketing group.
Right.
And I led that, and we discussed and talked, and then I would put together marketing. It was much like what I was doing with Judge Fite, the Real Estate 411. And actually, this was like right before I started working on the Real Estate 411. And so Ben was there, and we came up with ideas for marketing, and then we would give that marketing to the realtors, and they would take it out and use it. So Ben has a marketing head, as a realtor. So I liked
he's very
bringing
disciplined.
that flavor where he could talk about how he has strategized and being a minority in the business.
And he had a passion for trying to get more minority ownership, which is very, very understandable. I always jokingly say he's the second best dressed man in Collin County, right behind me.
Oh my God, I love that. I've never heard you say that. Oh, I gotta say that's true. I mean, this guy
stylish man.
He is.
Yeah, and I like. He's a good guy. He brings a lot of energy. Shauna Acquisto was another good.
Shauna, yes.
One because she's an independent, has her own brand. At the time, she was president of the Collin County Association of Realtors. Which is
CCAR, right?
CCAR, which was an interesting experience. I'm sure she's glad now to be the past president, as most are.
Really?
When you serve.
Oh gosh,
but
what a job!
I'm on
labor of love.
Yeah, I'm on budget and finance. We just went through that, and probably was the first time, which I think is rightfully so, that I saw an adjustment in the budget for 2024 and what they anticipated in new membership and in renewing membership. Now, nothing down substantially, but probably I'm thinking it was about a 20%, 25% adjustment overall. That the association is in tremendously good shape financially.
So it's a thing that really works.
Oh yeah,
the association.
Yeah, I mean they really it's a very well-run enterprise, and it's it's a business without question. Because you're overlaying into that the technology side through Netris, and it's really interesting. That's why I wanted to be on that. I just wanted to see I wanted to get behind the curtain, and see what was really the state of the association, and then strategically they were trying to move toward and what their focuses were. Of course, I headed up last year the business development for Plano CCAR, which is just getting a speaker each month type deal, which I'm not doing it again this coming year, but I've always tried to be engaged somewhere in the association.
That's
cool. Because you serve and you learn.
Right.
That side, and now I've been asked to join Netris on their. When the guy called me as the CFO, because Netris is the MLS platform.
Right.
And he asked me if I would consider, and I said, well, I'm not a realtor. And he's like, well, this is a technology company. And I go, well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And he said, we want people from the outside of the immediate real estate industry to be in this, and there's opportunities toward board.
Very cool.
To that. And so...
Netris is huge.
Yeah. So I'm anticipating, because I said, well, beyond budget and...
So you think you'll be doing that this coming year?
Yeah, reviewing numbers and so forth. He said, well, we're really going to be focusing a lot on strategy.
Good.
So I'm really interested to be inside on that side to see where they're moving with technology and serving the realtor community through that. So
better and better.
Yeah. But anyhow, Shauna's had a lot of success.
And I think she announced when she was on the show that they were separating Denton County out of the CCAR, right?
Well,
making it its own thing? Or
no. They were adding it. They were just rebranding the name. And the reason they rebranded the name is they want to attract more and more from the contiguous counties into that association.
Yeah.
It's Mary Leidy is the CEO. I think Mary's been there close to 30 years.
Wow.
They do it the right way. They really, really do a really good job. And the goal is to possibly in 2024 is to they've got the land, is to build a new facility that can even be more conducive to meetings and training and things.
Dude, can you imagine the growth they've experienced?
Oh my gosh.
In that association? Collin County growth for 30 years.
Yes, it's
mind-boggling.
And if you've been back that far, which I have, to see when it was, basically you drove up Preston Road, and there was just a lot of land, and to see where is now is just mind-boggling.
It's crazy.
And where it's going. I mean, it's further expansion. It's
And
going
what
north.
a job
It's
to
just,
corral all those realtors and all
Right.
of that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of technology, we had your guy that does your app for
PalmAgent.
Yeah, PalmAgent.
Yeah.
He was in, and I was just blown away by the technology that he brought, Michael Pyburn, and that was in October.
Yeah.
And he showed off the app that he's done for Secured Title of Texas that they use that has calculators and what if you don't buy, here's the financial consequence. What if you buy now, the financial consequence. And then the icing on the cake was that they now have a social media content creator in that app. So technology this year we've seen with our guests is just exploding.
Right. And strangely enough, the toughest thing with these apps is to get the realtors to use them.
Oh my God, something's never changed.
I know that's been that way a long time. So
it has.
Yeah. But if they do embrace it, it's a very effective tool for generating opportunity and really give you a social media presence and some things that are valuable content and information.
Right in your pocket.
Right. Of course, it drives me nuts every time I see one of those out there on the graphic of where to go watch your fireworks or Christmas tree lightings
Mark
or whatever
hates
else.
that. He's always saying,
and I'm sure,
real information.
if I look deeply, I'd probably see we're doing it as well.
Yeah.
But
because people respond to that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why.
Yeah,
people respond to it.
But I continually hope that we embrace, particularly in these kind of times, that we need to be educating the consumer versus just providing.
So you don't think we can educate too much?
I don't think we can at this moment in time, because we have to counter the anxiety of what they read or what they hear. And the only way to do that is you've got to be able to sit down and educate them with factual statistical information. And I couldn't, it's kind of funny because they'll flinch on a 7 or a 7.5% 30-year mortgage.
Yeah.
But they're paying 25% on a credit card. Don't think a thing about it.
No.
So it's
That's so true.
Yeah,
That is so true.
Sort of like educate. This is your ability to establish a equity position in a property, gain value, and eventually you might be able to have enough in there to do a refinance cash out and pay that credit card off.
It's no wonder that realtors and business owners are just not half crazy.
I know.
And so speaking of the half crazy realtor and the half crazy marketing people and how many hats we have to wear, we brought on Denise Ackerman,
Right.
who is a coach to help us calm down. And Denise came on, she's a life coach. She was here in March, so in the spring. And I loved what her theme was all about. And it is, she was saying to realtors, you have to find the reason why you're doing what you're doing, whether you're a realtor or an entrepreneur of any kind, because you're going to wear 15 hats. You're going to be pressured to have to produce content that is valuable and compelling, as well as understand and know your industry. And what's more complicated than real estate and buying property and money and all of that? So I loved how she came in with her calmness. She was just so soft-spoken and calm, and talked about, that she coaches her clients to find the why. Why are you doing what you're doing? What's the passion and the reason for doing what you're doing? And once you understand that, she said, you can build a dynamic marketing and business plan that will help you soar, because you have that foundation.
Yeah, and she came through the Keller Williams system, so probably that orientation was from, Gary wrote a book about the one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Your one thing.
That's true. That's true.
So, which is, I think one of the challenges that the realtors face is how many different marketing things do I need to be doing?
I remember, wow, this takes me way back, 2005. I remember doing a graphic. Actually, this was for the Real Estate Roundtable. And it was a talk that I had heard Oprah do. And she said, to stop a spiral, change one thing. So if you find yourself spiraling down in your life, change one thing. So you could also juxtaposition that over to say, if you find that things are really crazy in your marketing plan or in your business, adopt one thing and stick to it. Yeah.
Yep.
And so this is the kind of coaching, these are the kind of little tips and nuggets that I love bringing to the show.
Yeah.
People like Denise, and then we had individual realtors who brought their nuggets, like Aya Reed. Is it Reed? She was here. She's the farm and ranch. Ayla Reed, farm and ranch expert. Beautiful young entrepreneur who's super, super successful. And remember how...
And we had Sarah Boyd the year before, I think the year before.
Yes, you're right.
And Sarah is at the echelon of...
the luxury ranch
Luxury
stuff.
ranch. What's the word where the horses? Equestrian.
Equestrian.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Sarah's hugely successful, and she's really grown her own brand up in that marketplace, her own brokerage firm, and she's done extremely well.
Amazing.
It's a great client for us.
Yeah.
That side. But I think when you kind of look through all of these at moments and times with some of these people that have historically been in the business for a long time, inevitably, when we got into these conversations, inevitably they would always say back to the basics. Back to the basics.
Everyone.
Yeah. Because
You can't escape that.
No, you can't. And I think that's the model. It's the database. It's the basics. It's the touching. It's the how often, what's your drip
good, Mark.
campaign, those type of things. And I think that's, if I was looking into 2024 as a realtor, I'd be thinking that same thing. What can I go back to in just the basics of how and I don't know that there's anything more valuable, and I think Dick pointed that out, is the one-on-one conversations that you can have, picking up the phone, calling your database, talking to them. It's not about, are you trying to buy or sell your house right now? It's more about, how are you doing? And what's going on in your life? And what are the challenges you're facing?
And what do you need?
And what do you need?
Homeowners need things.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been preaching that for years. Why don't I get more information as a homeowner that helps me?
Right.
And there are marketing opportunities
All the way down
out
to
the gazoo.
all the way down to what's just happening in your own subdivision.
Yeah.
What houses have sold? What are they selling for? How much price per square
That
foot?
stuff is valuable.
Yeah.
It remains valuable, and that's
it always
one
will.
of the basics.
Yeah, and that's part of educating the side. But I think that our industry is a very compassionate industry, and so if you can't think of anything else that you can say, I need to make my calls. An easy call to make is pick up the phone and say, I was thinking about you. I want to know how you were doing in this environment that we're in, and what impact, and whether that's job or whatever those conditions may be that may, or it may be congratulations, they just had another child, but they're living in a 2-bedroom.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know
what you're going to find, what you will discover.
Yeah, you'll discover life events is what you'll discover. And that's
a
where
couple
you can
that we had on the show, Andrew and Kelly Coker, were fabulous to bring that down-to-earth basic approach to their business. She's a runner.
They both, and Andre's he's Ironman.
Yeah, so they're super health enthusiasts, but they also follow Dave Ramsey, so they're very practical, and so they coach their clients and approach their marketing and all of that with their team on the practicalities of living your life. And I liked that. That was a really good show about that.
It was. Yeah, they're great people. They've been a client of ours for a long time. I really care a lot about them, and I love seeing the success
they were
they've
so
had.
energetic,
Yeah, the teams they've grown. And Kelly, I mean, she's already planning 2024 on client events.
Oh, cool.
So she's already thinking out in front and what those things are going to be. So they're about as disciplined as anybody that I've dealt with in the industry.
Hey, listen, if you're going to run a marathon, you have to be.
You have to be.
And that's what she was doing when she was on the show.
Right.
She was preparing for a marathon that was coming up.
Yep.
And you have to get your runs in every day. You have to do your heels. You have to do speed work. You have to do all these things that are very important to help you be able to sustain a run that long.
And a good point to that is that they chose a few years back to embrace a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And that's what led them into this whole triathlon and everything else, and they shed what they didn't need to have on their weight, and they became much more healthy. And guess what happened from that? They became much more productive as well, because they
Isn't that
felt
funny how
better.
that works?
Isn't that funny how that works?
That's one of my goals for this year, too.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate to say it out loud, because I haven't met my goals that I set 2 years ago.
Right.
But damn it, I just want to get into a position where I feel great, where I'm where I feel strong. I don't need to feel like I'm skinny or anything like that. I want to feel strong as I'm getting older.
Right.
And like I'm capable of doing the things that I want to do. I just think that's so important.
Well, and this is a go-go industry, but it's also a very sedentary industry. They don't focus on their health; they focus on the client's health, well-being.
Yeah.
And
you have to take care of yourself.
You got to take care of yourself.
And we saw that with our coach Denise that we brought in,
Right.
and with the Cokers. We also really had a lot this year on luxury. We like to bring in luxury realtors. This year we brought in the Susan Redding group,
Yeah.
Keller Williams.
Susan is awesome.
And they were great. And she kind of got into... Actually, Susan was kind of blunt about the fact that, yeah, you treat luxury clients differently. They demand it.
Yeah.
And so we got some real good secrets on that side, the luxury side from Susan on how.
You know, typically luxury is not struggling to get qualified to buy a property.
Right.
They've got that capability. So you're dealing with just a completely different type of mindset.
You are, absolutely.
than
And
you
how
are
you
than-
market to them and how you speak to them. I think her gist was that really the relationship that you have with the luxury client is almost more important than how you market to them.
Right.
Because once you get them in the door, it's not the same.
Yeah.
And that made sense to
Right.
me.
Well, and it's like anything else. I mean, you sell a $500,000 property, it's X. If you sell a $5 million property,
Yeah.
it's a big Y.
Yeah.
It's just the
Exactly.
investment and return on that. And you know, part of what we'll talk about in the future, but I think, you know, we kind of look and say, what are some of the challenges in 2024? And I think there is an underlying cloud out there that everyone does not know how to address yet, and that's these class action suits that have come in the real estate industry related
Dang.
to commissions. And that could potentially shift the landscape pretty substantially, and I'm going to be interested to watch, because it wasn't just one class action. Now they're piling on. They're hitting them all over different states, associations. This is going to really be something that I think is going to alter the landscape of the commission side of the equation in the real estate community.
I want to learn more about that. So we talked before the show, and
We'll figure out some ways to bring some informed people that can have
we're
some
going to bring some
discussion.
stuff to you that's going to kind of open your eyes to what's going on.
Even
out
when I
there.
asked Jim Fite about that, Jim's already teaching within his group
Really?
how we're going to manage that if it goes to a buyer pay commission, as an example.
See?
So they're already moving through.
They're always 3 steps
Yeah,
ahead.
they're already into their strategy side
Yeah.
about how we're going to embrace that. What are we
Yeah.
going to do? That type of thing. If you put your head in the sand on this one, you're going to find yourself outside the industry. You're going to have to find a way to navigate through this.
Now, is this going to be a broker problem, or is this going to be an agent problem?
Well, it's combination.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a broker problem because you're dealing with broker splits, but it can be an agent problem when you look at some of these full companies out here where the agent gets 100% of the
Yeah.
commission,
Yeah.
right? And
Where
just
they
pay
can decide.
Yeah, and they just pay a transaction fee. So what always causes me to shake my head in all of this is that, as we talked earlier, it's not a set 6%.
Right.
And that's it, that's all. It's a seller's decision as to what they're willing to pay to sell their property.
Yeah, and consumers, you can negotiate that.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
be aware of that.
So,
You know, we run long on time because we were enjoying reminiscing. So we're going to have to go ahead and roll things together here. But I just wanted to say that the January kicking off last year with Candace Evans was a real fun thing. And she said something in that show, and I encourage you to go back and watch the episode with Candace. It's in January. Because she was just loaded with information. I asked her point blank, okay, everybody wants to get on Candy's dirt. Every agent who's got a listing that they think is a something wants to see it on your blog. How do they get it on there? And she told us kind of. So
Yeah.
So go listen to that.
Yeah.
Listen to all of our shows. I mean, I think that we try to give you evergreen material, although sometimes we're going to talk about hot topics that are happening right now. And again, like I said, if you have ideas, things that you know about that you'd like to say, guys, dig into this and find out more, let us know. We're open to that. We're going to be kicking off Season 5 on January the 19th. We'll be streaming live at 1:30. So put that on your calendar. We'll have a very cool surprise lineup because we don't really fully know exactly what that will be, but it's going to be on what to expect for 2024. Mark's already mentioned a little bit about the lawsuits, the cybercrime that's happening, and so we're going to kind of
some of the
jump
relevant
into
stuff
that.
to your practice, if you will. You know, I always kind of call it a practice because that's what they really are. So, or as I used to call them long ago when I used to write my articles, the foot soldiers of commerce.
Foot shoulders of commerce. I love that.
Anyhow, we've
Mark,
enjoyed. We've
it's
enjoyed
been
it.
fun.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been a good year. Well, thanks everybody. Thank you, my friend.
Merry
Have
Christmas.
a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And you guys too. Thank you very much for your support. And we will see you on January the 19th.
Ciao.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Merry
New Year.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.